YouTube channel. Uh, my name is no time for introduction. You already know my name. In this video, I'm going to be explaining different vulnerabilities and what they do. If you take a look at this title of this video, it said explaining different web application vulnerability and what they do. So, what are web application vulnerability? Okay, web application vulnerability is the type of vulnerability that hackers use to have access to websites to do malicious intent or good intent, depends on the hacker. So these vulnerabilities are what user use to get into a website. It's just like, for example, now you are into coding or anything. Let me say you are into programming, right? In programming we have JavaScript, PHP, HTML, CSS. So same thing with web application vulnerability. So it's still something like that. So that is what actually web application vulnerabilities are. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining how they works and what they do. So now the first on my list is SQL injection. Okay, what are SQL injection? So what are SQL injection? In this video right here, I searched it on Google. It said SQL injection is a dangerous cyber attack which malicious code is inserted into data entry field on a website, tricking app into executing unintended command. How it works: an application, okay, take user input, e.g. username, and directly insert it into an SQL query without proper sanitization. Malicious code: an attacker enter SQL command like 1 = 1 instead of a normal text. Database execution: dis database execute the command modify query. So now let me explain what dis actually is. What they are trying to say is that SQL injection is whereby you like you have access to tap to database, and also you are trying to execute command that you are not supposed to execute. It's just like, for example, I had 1 + 1 = 2, right? So let me give that as an example. Me typing 1 + 1 = 2, I've already tell the website that if I type 1 + 1, this is what I want to access. This is what I want to access. So to a normal regular user, it's just like accessing normal website, but to attacker, SQL injection, e can gain access to some information on the database. Actually, what SQL injection does is it attacks information on database, you know, perform what is not supposed to perform. That is what SQL injection actually is. So if you do not understand, let me give you another example. If you take a look at this example right here, I searched human body with injection. You understand? So let me use this picture as an example. Let me zoom it. Okay, it says this is a normal picture of an injection, then this is a normal body. So let me give you an illustration from this. This is actually SQL injection. Yeah, this is it, and this is the website. This is the website. The bones and the structure inside are the database. That is what the bones and the structure inside. Those are what the bones are. I'm just giving this as an example. So you as an attacker injecting malicious activities into this body, it will change the reaction of the body, which will make him perform behavior that is not supposed to perform. Like for example now, we all know you can use ejection for different things. You can use injection to build muscles, you can use injection to cure sickness, you can use injection for any different thing. So that is what SQL injection are. It's kind of like you are putting something, for it to react in a certain way. But if the application has an antidote against a particular injection or against a particular treatment, there are chances that this SQL injection, this attack is not going to work. Let me give you an illustration of what I mean. Let's say, for example, my body is immune to, let me just say, okay, let me use any virus, for example. Let me use COVID for an example, yeah. Let me just say this body is immune to COVID and this injection is meant to give me COVID. So me inputting it into the body, me inputting it into the body, there are chances that it's not going to work because my body has already been fixed for something to, overtake this injection, which is the antidote. So I'm just using this body structure for you to understand what I actually mean. So this can actually come in different form. Some attackers use this to gain, you know, different information. Some use it to have access to hidden product. You use it to have access to a different thing. So that is what SQL injection actually is. I've actually spent 6 minutes explaining SQL injection. So I'm going to move over to the next, which is which is SSS vulnerability. SSS vulnerability. This is another means hacker use to gain access to system. I'm not going to explain them more in this video because it's going to take a lot of time. So SSS vulnerabilities. What are SSS? Oh, sorry. What are Oh shit. What are SSS vulnerability? What are SSS vulnerabilities? If you take a look at this Google search, it said SSL vulnerabilities allow attackers to inject malicious client-side script like JavaScript into trusted website, which then run in other users' browser, bypassing security and compromising interaction. It's just as similar with the one I just mentioned, which is SQL injection. They are very similar. They are all inserting. Both of them have similar interests. They are inserting. So this is actually what they thought. He said type of SSS, stored SSS, malicious script is permanently stored in the server. Reflected is immediately from the server response, often in search result, typically like malicious link to fitting link. So it's kind of like similar, but looking from the explanation that I just gave, you can understand that you will understand what I'm actually, saying. They are very similar. So if you want to know more about these vulnerabilities, you want to get started, you can actually watch some of my videos. I have some cool stuff that I have uploaded about Postwiga. Postwiga is where you will learn more deep about this, but I'm just actually explaining what it does. He said common impact of SSS vulnerability. This is a research from Google. Session hijacking, credential theft, phishing, and social engineering, website defacement, and malware distribution. All these are all part of you know SSS attack and they are all client side vulnerabilities. They are not server side vulnerabilities. So in the next I'm going to explain is back. This is my favorite. Back vulnerability. I'm not going to explain all here because I've taken much time. But in the part two of this video, if you insisted, I'm going to make part two of this video explaining other vulnerabilities on and on. But I'm going to stop at theory vulnerabilities. In the next video, explain theory, explain theory. So this video, back vulnerability. So what are back vulnerability? This is my favorite. because this is the one I'm actually comfortable doing. Water bag vulnerability. Me, the one thing about me, I love vulnerability that does a lot of damage. Those are my type. I'm not saying the rest cannot do a lot of damage, but back is just my favorite. Everyone has their favorite. So what are bag vulnerabilities? Okay, what are bad vulnerabilities? This is very easy. It said bad vulnerabilities, broken access control happen when an application fails to properly enforce rules, letting user access or do things they should not, like seeing other people's data or gaining access to admin powers. When you gain access to admin power, it's over. That is where the real damage begin. So attacker actually does this to gain access to to admin dashboard, user account, and a lot of stuff. It said vertical privilege escalation, horizontal privilege escalation in secure data object, false browsing, and all of that. So what this actually is talking about is like bad vulnerability is like when I access information that I'm not supposed to access. Let me give you an example of what I mean. What of? Okay, let me use this example right here. These two example right here. I'm going to use these two example right here. What you are seeing in this image is an image of a customer in a bar, and this is a kitchen. This is where all the food are prepared. Yeah. So and this is a customer. So I'm going to use this illustration to explain what bar vulnerability is. You see these two people right here. These are the customers and these are the people that work in the restaurant and this is the kitchen. So what bar vulnerability does is, let me just say this is me. Yeah. Me having access to this kitchen is a bad vulnerability. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. Me having access to this kitchen is a bad vulnerability. Ask me why is it a bad vulnerability? Because a normal customer is not supposed to have access to kitchen. The restaurant is this kitchen because they were not actually meant to be here. People that are supposed to be here are supposed to be staff, chef, or cleaner, or the dishwasher, or the trash guy. But a normal regular customer, you are not supposed to be here. So that is what bad vulnerability is. So you as a customer, what you're going to do is come there, order anything you want, eat and go. But you having access to this place is a bad vulnerability. So how do they have access to this place? They have access to this place maybe by pretending to be someone else. By pretending to be someone else, they can have access to this kitchen which they're not supposed to have access to. They can, use the key. Maybe they get access to the key. They can use it to have access to this place. So it's like broken into a place without authorization. You as a customer, you are not allowed to see this particular place. You are not meant for it because that is not what you are here to do. So bad vulnerability is kind of very similar to this. I'm just using this kitchen for as an example for you to understand what bad bad vulnerability actually is. So it's like you are gaining access to things you are not supposed to gain access to. You are seeing things that you are not authorized to see. That is what bad vulnerability actually. So this attack is a very common access attack. And if a customer like this have access to this kitchen without authorization, he can take anything he wants. He can take food, take anything he wants. do whatever he want to do and then leave. But what if, for example, from these two people sitting down here, one of them is the manager. The manager have proper access. He can go to the kitchen and take whatever he wants, for example, because he was authorized, not a normal regular user. So that is what bad vulnerability actually is. Um I'm using this for an example in case you are a beginner watching this video and you are going into web security, it will be kind of helpful. So I hope you find this video helpful. In the next part, I'm going to be explaining more, but only if you request on next video is when I'm going to make video about this. So I hope you find this video helpful. I see you guys next time and next week. This is your boy Bankele. Have a nice evening. Sayonara. Also follow me on S on Twitter, Bankele, and also follow me on LinkedIn, Bankele. So